Yeah, welcome back everyone. Now we head to the next segment, which is the panel discussion on evolution of Indian gold market from being commodity to a brand and positioning GMS, which is being moderated by Professor Sahai. So if you would. The panelists are Mr. Shivram A. Mr. Shivram founded the Retail Gurukul in 2012 as a consulting and training company. He was earlier Tanishq's head of All India Merchandising Training and Regional Sales for many years. He is a sought-after mentor, consultant, trainer, and speaker across multiple industry platforms. Is Mr. Shiv? Welcome, sir, please. Mr. Ashish Pete, an engineering graduate and an MBA from Symbiosis, Mr. Pete decided to get back to his family business, which is now past being a 110-year-old brand in India. Passionate to revamp the domain, he was elected to lead as the chairman of Gem and Jewelry Council following his successful business stint. He is, however, here as a partner of Vamanhari Pete to share his perspective on the business. Welcome, sir. Mr. Gaurav Anand. Mr. Gaurav Anand, the promoter of the brand Anand Jewels, is a third-generation entrepreneur. The brand was launched in 2015 with the vision of providing customers with exquisite jewels at an honest price. Anand Jewels actually took the lead in launching a unique marketing campaign reflecting an honest and transparent pricing and offered 22-carat gold jewelry at actual 916 pricing and took the Indore market by storm and became one of the most popular brands in the marketplace. Anand Jewels also offers money back and lifetime free repairs and polishing guarantee and no additional charges on credit card swipes. After their first showroom at Indore in 2015 opened, the next showroom in Bhopal opened up in 2020, and they're soon opening their third showroom in Raipur in May 2022. Their turnover surpassed a milestone of 1 ton worth of gold jewelry in 21-22. Hello, sir. Mr. Sachin Jain. Sachin, sir, is the founder-owner of Vardhaman Jewellers, Bhiwani, Haryana. He has been in the jewelry industry since '97, and after starting as a jewelry repair karigar, he was also the zonal committee member of Gem and Jewelry Council. It is worth to mention here that Sachin also brings along a keen interest in academia. He was very keen to present a paper today which unfortunately could not materialize due to health issues. Hello, sir. Wishing you a very, very speedy recovery, sir. Please welcome.
So, welcome back from the break. I hope कि आप लोगों ने you've refilled yourself for the next 1.5 hours or so. I'd like to welcome everyone over here, Mr. Shivram, Mr. Anand, Mr. Ashish and Sachin. Thank you for taking the time today for having this discussion. So we're going to be talking about some of the trends in jewelry as well as the implications, how to move to a branding and positioning for individual jewelers, and also what is the role of the GMS, how can that be leveraged, if at all, and if the panel feels that GMS is hogwash, at least as it is currently, that it doesn't really make any sense, please do share that as well. The way one would like to structure the session is that I'm going to request in turn each one of our panelists to share their perspective on moving towards branding and positioning from their particular experience, especially over the last 5 years or so, and then to give us their thoughts on the branding, on the GMS part, about how that can fit into your overall business plans. So we'll start with Shivram, then we'll go to Anand, and then Ashish and Sachin. If you can take about 10 minutes or so to share your thoughts, and then we will go by turns, and then we'll kind of have a discussion around the themes that you've discussed. And I hope you don't mind if I take some notes, because I can't remember everything that people say, so I have to take notes.
Good to go. Yeah, very good afternoon. I'll start with a little personal experience. I'm a South Indian, loves filter coffee, right? And for those of you,
like them big.
right? So for those of you who are in the news, right? I suppose coffee is more important than the cup. But if you really followed the news, there is a designer who started selling designer coffee cups, right? And ceramic cup made of clay is limited edition, is going to be sold at 1,600 rupees, right? Now you move a little one step back, and this famous designer sells wedding lehengas, and the same bride who buys this lehenga willing to pay a couple of lakhs, right? And she is not asking the retailer how many grams of cotton is there in the lehenga, what is the making charge of the lehenga, right? And she is willing to spend a couple of lakhs on it. And like all Anand and Ashish and all of us will talk, the same lady, and probably it's her personal decision, from what my experience has been, it's her personal decision to make the purchase from that designer, right? The same lady comes to the retail store, and now there's a whole family attached to the shopping experience, to the jewelry store. So there's a mom, there's a grandmom, multiple aunts who have to take the call on from which retail shop to buy, retail jewelry shop to buy. And the first question is, what's the making charge? In fact, I know one particular instance where the father first came to the store and said, this is the making charge that I will pay for the entire shopping, irrespective of the jewelry that's going to be purchased. Right? That's the level of bargaining that kind of happens. Taking this point a little further, right? I won't dwell so much into the past nor into the present, which is really what we are all probably familiar with. But what I have noted down here really is about 10 points, what I see as the future of migration or a transformation from commodity to a brand experience. First and foremost, from a retailer perspective or a consumer perspective, right? There are multiple stores with multiple owners, but with single brand, and it's there in South India, for example, right? And I'm coming from a consumer perspective here, because there is a single brand, I shop from that brand. But at the back end of it, there are multiple, maybe family members, but they are independently run. But the marketing, the branding, the logo is one and the same. But at the same time, there are other cities which has, again, multiple family members, but similar sounding brands. So the consumer is completely confused. In fact, I have clients who come back and say, listen, in one particular city, I think there are 13 different similar sounding names. Right? So it's a complex situation. When the going is good, everybody wants to own the customer, right? So what I bought from there, is that, oh yeah, they are my relative. But when the going goes bad, that is when the impact on my brand also becomes impactful, right? The customer is saying, I came and bought from you and this is the problem. Oh, no, that's not my brand. That's not mine. So there is that one particular challenge when it comes to branding. The second point that I want to talk about, not necessarily in a specific order, is really about omni-channel retailing, right? That is something which and I was just telling somebody, as an industry, we're a little slow to respond, right? But as an omni-channel retailer, maybe one, maybe two we can pull off from our entire country, who can truly claim to offer an omni-channel experience. Online shopping, offline pickup, offline selection, online pickup, in between, right? Hybrid, nothing, right? We don't really have anything much to say on that. The third point is really, Professor Sahai spoke about 14 karat. I had experienced 14 karat diamond jewelry almost 12 years back. But still, we have not yet reached a stage. Why only 14? I'm saying 6 years down the line, 10 years down the line, maybe 9-carat jewelry. Now combine 9-carat jewelry with omni-channel retailing, I think we have something else going to a completely new segment of customers, right? And I go back to the making charge, which is, I will say, is one of our biggest challenges, right? This is the only industry where consumer is asking you the price breakup. The fourth point is somewhere we have, I believe, missed out this opportunity of fixed pricing or an MRP pricing. And I can give you real life examples. There is a retailer in Chennai who sells gold jewelry as a fixed price product, right? He does not offer making charges, right? So it is not that, it's coming from the air, right? There are people who are doing it, but it is not an industry-wide trend. The fifth one, and this was a surprise to me also, right? And all of us will talk about Akshay Titiya and gold coins. So last time, I think, I opened the newspaper on Akshay Titiya day, and guess who was selling gold coins? Any guesses? Wild guesses. Sorry? Yeah, Swiggy. Right? Swiggy was offering gold coins at 7 o'clock in the morning. Right? And today, and I was doing a count, there are 8 companies in Bangalore who are offering you 10-minute grocery delivery. So 10 minutes gold coins on Akshay Titiya, right? So that's the opportunity sitting there. And my point also is competition can come from anywhere, right? That's the fifth. The sixth one is, it's taken, I think, from the hotel industry, right? I tried recently to do a search, but it is not there. I think it's called the independent hoteliers of the world. So a lot of us can probably get together, right? And it becomes a chain store, right? Today the largest chain store is about 15,000, 20,000 crores, right? And 100 retailers across the country, 200 retailers with 100, 200 crores, we are 20,000 crores. But why is this important is, the girl is shopping for her whatever, other than this, jewelry, right? She is probably working in some town. Her mother is in UP. Her mother-in-law is in Gujarat, right? All the three of them have to still come to a decision on shopping, right? So if there was a single brand, even if they are independent retailers, you can shop from one independent retailer in Lucknow, exchange it in Chennai, maybe do a replacement or some other activity in Bombay, right? Today, except unless you are a completely integrated all India retail chain, you don't have that option. Seventh item, single gold rate, right? From a customer point of view, I think that's an important space to move in. Yeah, if you may not be an integrated chain, but a single gold rate to start with is an interesting way to move forward. Many of us have now heard very popular buy now, pay later, right? Right? That's what's happening, right? So in our industry, we have pay now and use it later. Only industry in the country where customer is willing to pay for 6 months, 8 months, 10 months and purchase, right? That's the eighth one. The ninth one, again, we don't have digitally native brands. We can count 3, 4 on our fingertips. So for a 300,000, I don't know what is the survey showing in terms of the all India size, we are supposed to be 3 lakhs or a 4 lakh crore per year store, business, right? And we have the equivalent of 3 lakhs or 4 lakh retailers. But in terms of a digitally native brand, because that's where the world is moving, right? And that's what I started off by saying, this is the young customer who is willing to buy offline, online, shop online, right? Those are the things. Last but not the least, sustainable brands. We are not speaking that consumer's language. Sustainability, environmental friendliness, recycling, right, upcycling, none of that is part of the community, the language of our industry. These are the things which I believe, we really need to do. Now, 2 things actually, we all love free things, right? And in our industry, we have something called a 10+1 scheme, right, which is you pay for 10. So I've given you 10 points, so you must be within your rights to ask me, give me that one free. So the question here I have really is, for all this what I'm talking of, where is the money coming from, right? Everything requires branding, everything requires, marketing efforts, right? So my point, and I am a merchandiser at heart, and Ashish knows me well, right? 1/3 of our inventory is non-moving. And I now call it golden furniture. Just like furniture in the store, which doesn't move, right? 1/3 of our inventory is not moving, right? So if we can optimize that inventory, and if you come from the manufacturing industry, they call it what is called a sweat the asset, right? And so if we can improve merchandising, 1/3 of which is dead, I think money is there for all these things which I've been speaking. So thank you so much, and I.
Thank you, Shivram.
Thank you.
Over to Anand.
Hi. I would like to tell you something that we did. We are a new company. In 2015, we launched a store in Indore. It's a tier 2 city. And I had 3 years to think about what to do. We had a family separation from a jewelry company, and I had to wait for 3 years to open that store. So in those 3 years, what I realized that I need to unlearn being a jeweler, and whatever I have learned in last 3 generations, I have to forget that. And that is what I did. And I also went out of the industry, and I'm into automobile also right now. So what I realized, and that the industries which are doing fairly well, like automobile, like fashion, are way ahead as far as industry level platforms are there. They are more focused on customers. Jewelry industry has never been. It's a buy, sell, more or less. In 80s and 90s, it was sell. If I had the jewelry, then you have to buy from me. That is how the old jewelry attitude is coming from. And that is where the independent jeweler or the regional jewelers or the historic jeweler of in this country are facing a challenge. And that is why today's largest brand is Tata, not a jeweler. That's surprising. In no other industry, the largest brand is a player which is not from that industry itself. So I entangled, and I had a lot of time, which is very valuable after experience of 20 years. So what I did is I broke this industry into what this industry is from the consumer's perspective. And that is how you create a brand. So I asked my customers, because I knew all the customers, and also in automobile there are various methods of engaging with a customer to know more. Even a product or an iPhone design is never designed what Steve Jobs thought. It is about what customer thinks and what he may like tomorrow. That is what you need to design next 3 years. So the industry, except jewelry, thinks way ahead and in advance and talks to its customer before even designing a product. We as an industry say we have created this and we want to sell this. So I went to a business school. I went to Harvard. I went to London Business School because I had opportunity. And the professor over there asked me what business you are in. And I said, I'm in jewelry industry. And he said, no, I'm asking you what business you are in. Then over there I took a day's time and I understood what business I am, because I had to answer the professor back. And then I told him, I am in the business of banking, I am in the business of insurance, and I am also in the business of fashion. Then he said, explain. So we are in the business of banking. We sell a commodity priced. Even Tanish says today's gold rate is this. Also, Tanishq, which is the number 1 brand in the country right now, says that I would buy back my product. So you're an insurance business as well. Thirdly, what they advertise every day is that they are a fashion brand. You wear this, that, daily wear, marriage wear, whatever. So I realized, and that is something you can take home today from my knowledge that I took for those 3 years, that we are in 3 businesses. One is banking, second is insurance, and third is fashion. That is why first thing that you have to do in jewelry business is create a trust, because you don't deposit or open a bank account in any other bank except where you trust. So that is why jewelry companies usually takes decades or generations to build. And I didn't have that time. So I thought I have to create something which is instantaneously trustworthy. Then comes the convenience of insurance, where insurance business says, okay, if you die or if you get into medical emergency or if you met with an accident, then we are there to help you. Whenever there is a bad time, we are there. That is the buyback and exchange policies that we talk about. So, I was researching on my brand during the times of 2012 to 2015. In that era, online business in India, specifically these Flipkarts and Amazon, was just about starting. In Tier 2, they were being accepted more than the metro markets. And one day, my dad, who runs now 10 jewelry stores, wanted to buy a pair of Nike shoe. And then my son told, Dad, you can't buy. I would bring it to your home. You would see it for 3 days, try it on, maybe wear it also. And if you don't want, get it returned. So my dad asked him, "Tum paise kaise doge?" Bola, "I don't need to pay cash. It is cash on delivery. If you like it, you would buy. Otherwise," so the instant response what I got, that a person who has no credit worthiness, he was just 10 years of old at that time, is able to bring in a product at his home on a cash on delivery basis without even committing to buy that product. And we as jewelry industry are trying to sell 5 lakh crores of products to everyone कि पैसे पहले ही जमा करा दो और उसके बाद मैं आपको आपका प्रोडक्ट दे देता हूँ. And there is no exchange, there is no lifetime guarantee, there is no कुछ भी नहीं, हर चीज आओगे and we were trouble. And when I was out of this industry, I used to meet females and they used to say, यार all and men's सारे jeweler store हैं. And the females had only one query, मेरा मंगलसूत्र टूट गया था, मेरे सास से झगड़ा हो गया उसलिए. So all family dispute starts with jewelry is what also I realized, and I never knew when I was in the industry that all family dispute starts with jewelry. So that is where also a role of a brand comes into picture, and we have to create a brand which should cover that. So when I launched this brand, it was a unique in the sense. And one more input for professors for policy making. If in India you can have one gold prize is something which is needed, and also a consumer prize for the jewelry industry associations. There is no prize in India which can be defined as genuine prize. And our brand was created because I didn't have, my dad said, you're going to take 10 years to develop your brand. I said, I have 10 days. And in my mind, I had 10 hours. Because with the kind of large stores, large expenses you can't have a business being created on a large format and you have to wait for 10 years. That's not possible in jewelry industry. So I said, how do I create? So I went into the story, and there is where GML product came into my play. I said, why on a 22 carat jewelry, we have to charge a 23.5 carat gold prices usually. Across India, the best jeweler in the country charged 23 carat for 22. And the best brand and the most ethical brand told Tata's charged a 23.96% gold rate for a 22 carat jewelry, claiming that it is priced in London. And that is all we have to say, and you pay us a price of 23.96 carats. I found this sweet spot as a very big mistake, what jewelry industry players were doing, including the top guys in the industry, that is the best guy right now, with a market valuation of 150,000 crores right now going, that this is an error. You are a banker and you're saying, because I knew, the professor in Harvard asked me a question and I knew I'm a banker, and then a banker is saying, on a 100 note, you're saying, no, my note is 108. Why? Because it is priced in London. So I thought of creating a brand which says, no, we created a brand which says beautiful jewels at honest prices, and Sacha Bhav is what we trademarked for our pricing, because this is never going to be a only branded product. It is always going to start and end with a commodity. Even a Rolex today says it's a pure 22 carat belt on a 32 lakh watch. It doesn't say it's a yellow color metal and you just buy it. So every product which is maybe priced 100 times or 200 times of the commodity price is also going to be told with a product quantification of this is the quality of gold which is being served. So in India, where gold is fancied so much, you are having an industry which doesn't have a standardized price across the country. Neither the explanation of why a 22 carat is charged higher is there. And that is what we did on our launch. We explained customer what is Sacha Bhav, how to get it calculated, and Indore is famous for traders. It's a city of traders. So we thought, and there is a saying in Indore कि हर बच्चा जो पैदा होता है इंदौर में वो एक calculator लेके पैदा होता है. So I thought, why don't I give a calculator to price the gold? And that became an instantaneously hit. So a bank was opened on that day, in fact a day before the launch, where everyone on Indore streets knew how to calculate a 916 price. And instantly we had a banking business covered. Then came the insurance. So for insurance, we said 100% buyback, lifetime warranty for products like the online guys are saying. And few of the top retailers in this country, I'm proudly to say, copied us after that yes, this is a policy which needs to be done. And fortunately, it doesn't cost you any money to give a 100% polish guarantee or a breakage guarantee to customer. Because I knew in my earlier jewelry company, we were hardly charging any repair charges to customer. But we were irritating and creating a problem between a mother-in-law and her daughter-in-law that तू 250 रुपए दे के आई है, तूने अपना मंगलसूत्र भी तोड़ दिया है और अब फिर लेने जाएगी. You know, it's the trauma of that particular woman was so high for breakage. So she used to blame the brand. So why don't we create brands which says, no, it's our product, we would take care. If it breaks, we would take care. So it's just about taking care, and a lot of top brands have taken clue from us and they are doing well. So on that launch, we also explained that not only we are a banker, we are an insurer also, where we insure you a 100% commodity price, because we were pricing the gold absolutely right on a 916 basis. So we can always buy it at 916 price. And also the sales staff was very well trained to say, okay, you can sell it at Tanishq, you can sell it at any other jeweler, because he's also going to buy at 916, at least when it's hallmarked. So this is certain things which we need to create when we are dealing into commodity, but we have to think like a brand. We have to brand a commodity through transparency, through the insurance commitment, what a customer is looking for, that if he is investing into jewelry or gold, then there is a buyback attached to it, there is an exchange policy attached to it, and there is a repair guarantee attached to it, and which favors completely to the customer. Only thing where you can make money or we can make money or charge a brand premium is only on making charges. And that is where you need to be that good in your environment, product and offering overall, that customer is willing to pay you that premium. And that is the real price. Yeah, that is the real price customer can pay. This is what we realized, and this is, yeah. The fashion is where making charges comes into play. And for that, the right kind of merchandising, store interiors, we went into international designers. Like in Bhopal, we have opened a store, but the store furniture is done by the same guys which are doing for Swarovski, same guys which are doing for Louis Vuitton, Gucci, not by the regular carpenters or any other architects. Our store is modular and it is installed within 20 days of basic civil work and ceiling work which is done. And the quality of interiors is at par with any global brand. So you create a brand experience inside the store, outside the store. The elevation is 120 feet. If you go to any mall in the globe, then you see a Louis Vuitton store, Gucci store. But in India, what do you see? Nothing. Shopper's Stop. No fashion. India, jewelry is the biggest fashion industry. because we charge the highest making charges. The effective gross profit that the industry earns is huge, and we are not there on the top most real estate in the market, and that is where we need to be as well to create that experience, and that is where fashion comes into play, creating of that environment where you can charge a making charge.
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Ashish?
Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Professor Saha and Sudesh, for inviting us for this fascinating conference. Last 2 years I missed coming here, but I made it this year. The topic for today's panel was evolution of gold from a commodity to a brand, and GMS, and how best we can get to it. I think over my last 25 years of experience, what I've realized that how the gold jewelry market in particular has moved is that I would categorize it as 2 eras. Before gold control was abolished and open market policy came in, and after that. So before the gold control was abolished, the whole trade was controlled by a few people. There was a license required for getting into jewelry industry or buying and selling of gold and things like that. So that the market, how it was working was, they were working on low inventory and higher stock turns, so to say. That was the model that everyone was working. And as Anand Bhai said, availability of jewelry was critical. So anyone who had jewelry available, people had to go and buy from that. So that time it was a classic example of a commodity being sold, a particular price, and whatever is available, the consumer had no choice but to buy from them. And that's how the market was. When the market was opened up, people who had bags of money could enter the market, buy gold and start jewelry shops. Simultaneously, there was another revolution which was happening, which is gold metal loans. With gold metal loans, the amount of inventory in the whole value chain or the channel, so to say, it bloated, so to say. So there was a lot of metal which was available, and the stock in the showrooms slowly started going up. So earlier, even in our showrooms, you remember, we had 100 chains in one showroom. Consumers would come, happily buy or order and go back. Now we have 1,000 chains, but still the consumer asks, "Aur kuch hai kya?" So that's the change that we have seen. Another important change that we have seen is hallmarking was introduced in 2000. And even currently, the mandatory hallmarking regime has started in around 290 districts. And interestingly, Professor Sahib, we had done a survey 15-20 years back, a consumer survey. And the results that had come out in the previous survey was the topmost priority for consumers was trust. Then came designs. Then came rest of the things, other hygiene factors. And 10 years back when we did this survey, trust was replaced by design. Trust is a given now. And with hallmarking, everyone is on the level playing field. Everyone, the gold jewelry from a smallest of small jeweler in a small town and biggest of jewelers in the country, the quality plank has been taken away from all the jewelers. So that evolution from commodity to brand, so to say, has been forced by the market changes, by the competition going up, and that's why, according to me, the brand building has become important in last 10 to 15 years is my understanding. But many a times brand building or a brand is misunderstood by most of the jewelers or most of the marketers, so to say, because brand building is misunderstood with advertising many times. हम लोग ये मानते हैं कि मैंने इतना पैसा एडवर्टाइजिंग पे खर्चा किया तो मेरा ब्रांड हो गया. बट ब्रांड इज नॉट व्हाट वी वांट टू से. Brand is what the consumer understands about your company, and it is a technically, Alrais and Jack Trout say, which is perfect, that a brand or brand position is a share of mind of the consumer. कंज्यूमर के दिमाग में तुम्हारा ब्रांड, तुम्हारी कंपनी का नाम सुनते ही क्या पोजीशन या क्या वर्ड याद आता है, that is your branding or brand positioning. And that brand positioning slowly people are developing, like Anandji has done. That when you say Anand Jewelers, you know you have transparency, best prices. That is their USP, or that is what that brand stands for. So everyone has to work on that, and that's what many of the large jewelers are doing. And not necessarily that you require a large retail chain to have a brand. You can have a small boutique, but have a unique property which is attached only to your company or your operations, and you can build a brand. So you have large premium products with higher margins can build a brand, or people who have large chains. Both of them have the spending capacity, because building a brand is an expensive thing. But I think when you are building a brand, the brand has to run through the entire organization, right from the receptionist who comes in to how your sales executive is talking, or when you call your company, how the person responds, to how your pricing is and your designs. So I think we say branding, but many times we don't understand what the branding is, your packaging, everything has to come in unison. So I think when we had the research, we realized that as Anandbhai said, that you are into banking and insurance, but I think my feeling, what I got was, you are into sharing happiness. We are the only business where consumer walks in only when he is happy. He wants to share his happiness. घर पे बच्चा पैदा हुआ है, शादी है, जो भी है, कुछ सक्सेस मिला है, जो भी है, that is when people come and share their happiness. So when we coined our tagline, we said सोनेरी क्षणांचे सोबती, which in Marathi it means that we are there shoulder to shoulder with you in your golden moments. So if you harp on that, whenever they feel anything good is happening in their lives, the first they should think of their partner in golden moments. And when they come in, the behavior of the staff, or how you position your staff, has to go along with that. Another point I would like to mention, what Shivranji was saying, that we have to move from breakup of item to an MRP kind of a thing. But to move from itemized individual breakup selling to MRP selling, I think what is most important is storytelling. Unless you have that story which is attached to a product, you cannot get into a MRP kind of a mold. I'll give an example. There is a natni which is typical to Maharashtrians, and every wedding is incomplete without a nath. So we had launched a Navinya Nath collection, which was the modern avatar of the traditional nath. Because the younger girls used to come to the shop and say, "Mujhe nath lena hai." And when they used to see the traditional nath, they would say, "Ye to mere maa ke paas hai. Ye to main ghar se le lungi. Why should I buy one more from you?" So we had redesigned the whole concept and made it into a Navinya or a futuristic kind of or modern look. And when we created that product, when we created the story around that, we could sell that product at MRP. But the moment you go into a standardized product which is available everywhere, then you are getting into that commodity zone. But if you have a unique product where there is a story to sell, there is a story to tell, and a unique product, Then you are moving into branding, then you can move to MRP. I think that's my basic thinking about branding in terms of our industry. Coming to the second point, which was missed in the earlier discussion, is gold monetization scheme. We from our council and as individual jewelers, we have been, involved in the process of, coining this revamped gold monetization scheme also. Surendra Bhai is here. He has been doing that for many years from their association. I think there is one point which all the policy makers have missed is that there are a few ladies here. If you can tell them that, madam, you can please melt your necklace and deposit in GMS, you will get a 2.5% interest. You can try doing that. None of the ladies will melt their gold jewelry to give it under GMS to earn some interest, because they are sure the price is anyways going to go up. So it's an investment which she can wear and flaunt. She doesn't need to get into a GMS. So the ideal target for GMS is not the lady, but it's the man of the house who is looking at gold as an investment vehicle, and he has the spare money which is already put into gold bars and gold. He is the ideal target to invest in gold, not the lady, because the lady is not going to go with her gold and probably go to assaying center in a dingy place and get it valued and deposit and come back the next day to get the receipt. So the process was a little convoluted, and that's why probably we had minimum success. But the investing population or investing man of the house who is investing, he is more worried whether if I invest 200 grams in this, will I be asked any questions? Will it be reported? Will I be asked for the invoice when I was bought? Because he has bought it over a period of time. Even ancestral gold is lying with people. So if we have suggested also to the government that if you keep a reasonable threshold that under which no questions will be asked and you can invest in GMS, then I think there is a better chance of moving more gold into this GMS. And also if you can motivate the large trusts, maybe temple trust or large trusts, to move a part of their gold holdings into GMS, that will be successful. And what I think, there are a lot of people here, if you are not related to gold or jewelry, would you have heard of GMS? The answer is straight away no. So if the government is talking about hallmarking at national channels, at entertainment channels on Star, that you do hallmarking, which is for public benefit, for common public, the awareness of GMS and the benefits of GMS are not been properly put forward to them. If it is done, I think the success will be more. So these are the two critical points that I want. And on the side of GMS, I think gold metal loan product also needs to be relooked at, because currently what we are doing is every 6 months we are closing a gold loan by paying rupees, and then we are forced to take a fresh gold loan. In a way, we are forcing the jeweler to import more gold, because banks are selling only London Metal Exchange approved gold, so everything is coming from outside. Like in many countries, if I understand correct, Sudesh can correct me, that it is like a CC facility, it's a rolling gold metal loan. But Reserve Bank, for their right reasons, have said that no, every 6 months you have to close the loan and take a fresh loan. So if you assume there are 100 or 150 tons of gold metal loans which are getting closed forcefully every 6 months, so we can at least, if we allow rolling over, we can at least reduce that much forced gold imports. And GMS, if it picks up, then that gold can be routed to GML and things can improve. Thank you for patiently hearing.
Thank you, Ashish. So let me go to our last speaker for the panel. Go ahead, Sachin.
Yeah. Hello everyone, I am Sachin Jain, I am a retailer from Haryana. So yes, Mr. Anand, we are into the business of insurance, fashion, and you said, like you said, in happiness, right? And yeah, and banking, of course. So, but my take as a retailer is we are into business of hospitality, I guess. So, like we offer tea, coffee from that country, cookies specially baked from London. We have all these things at our store. I mean, we are just taking it as ki design are made available, can be made available. They can be made. Because of hallmarking, the quality issue is right, purity issue is right, 100% over. So what is it that not everyone can copy? So we came to this, that hospitality is the only difference that can make us grow. So for the last 5-6 years, what we are doing, we are just taking care of everything else other than jewelry. Right, of course, jewelry is our core business, so we are taking care of designs and all other things, and the way we build and the overall customer experience, that everyone knows that when a customer calls, how should we behave and how should we take it forward, and all those things, and order management, inventory control. This is everything. The panelist, Mr. Shivram, is expert on this, and you all have experience, years of experience. So I thought that there is something that I personally experience when we go to some brand, when we go to some Uber kind of store, if I'm buying a shoes or even a grocery. So I feel that what makes me go there, like that was the hospitality, the way they behave and all these things. So other than jewelry, we take care of everything else. And yes, this is true. I mean, we get cookies from London, that's a common thing, but we make sure that we just gather all these things from around the world, and this packaging, this handbag is made by disabled children from the rural background, the women's self-help group. We are just participating as like we are helping our community to grow. Even our packaging material is procured from such society where we can connect a story. Even when it comes to Karigar, we don't tell that it's the best design or see. We make sure that our Karigars children go to the best of the schools, they get best of the education, they work in a good environment. We stick to all those things other than jewelry, and I feel that it has really helped me a lot. Starting as a Karigar 25 years back and now 10,000 square feet store, I feel the only difference I made, the reason I grew was this hospitality. Another thing that I feel that to become a brand, because I know I started from scratch, so another factor is delegation of authority. I always thought for 15 years I was doing business just like any other jeweler, unorganized sector. Then one fine day I realized that I can, because I'm very lazy, so I thought that I can't do all this stuff, so I should ask someone to do this. So in that process, I gave all my powers to my employees, I empowered them. Now they make all the decisions, and even the buying decision, looking for another supplier or making the payments or any decision. Right now, like for the last 1 month, I was hospitalized, and I don't think I checked the report or sales or anything, everything is being taken care of. Like I said, ki jab mere baki jeweler dost, they say ki yaar, how is it possible? Purana gold ikatha hota hai, usko melt karane to jana padta hai na. Magar nahi, yaar bank mein deposit, किसी को ट्रांसफर कर रहा है, मैं कहा नहीं, मैं क्यों? When you go to Tanishq, you talk to Mr. Ratan Tata or the chairperson of the Titan Group. No, you talk to the people now. So yeah, so probably it's something new or I don't know, but I feel that my customers should not know who is Sachin. And now most of customers, they don't even recognize me. But most of the customers recognize our brand. कि अच्छा वो वाली दुकान जिस पे वो बड़ा सा बोर्ड पर हीरा बना हुआ है. That's all. We have created brand, not an individual. So, but I feel that most of unorganized sector, what they do that they कि भाई ये सुभाष जी हैं या ये वो हैं, but in our store the story is different. I mean, they are connected to the brand only. Though small brand, I'm a regional player, but I'm doing pretty well, and delegation of authority, empowering my employees, and taking care of everything else other than jewelry, that is hospitality. These are the two main things. And like you asked about the GMS, I'm no expert on that, but I feel that we should involve retailers. If we want the consumer to deposit their gold, I mean, the role of a retailer can be very big, and I feel that we should look into this, that how a retailer can get into all this to help collect the gold, because it's any part of the industry, if that strengthens, it really helps everyone in our industry. So as a retailer, that's what I feel. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sachin. So, very interesting and fascinating for me to hear our four panelists as they shared their thoughts, especially over the last 6-7 years. Let me start out by just giving some quick responses and observations on each one of the talks that we heard, starting with the last one. I'll just pick one point each. There are so many rich points. But Sachin's point on delegation, for those of us who are interested in scaling, in building scale, you cannot build scale without delegation, right? You can only build scale with some delegation. So fantastic, really impressed to see that that's happening in an industry like gold, which does not do delegation much. The organized players, some of them I definitely do, but most people do not. So very, very impressed to hear that. On Ashish's point, I will just make one comment, which is, I think many of you guys know that my day job, my primary job is I'm a marketing professor, and branding is one of the things that I teach. So it was wonderful to hear him talk about branding and to listen to his understanding about branding. That's exactly what it is, right? What he has described. It is not about the logo. It is not about, but it is more about what people think about you and what they experience. And so I think I see some great news for the industry, for jewelers who think like that. So I'm going in reverse order of the speakers. Coming to Gaurav's talk, very interesting what he has done, right? This Sacha Bhav thing, 24 carat versus 22 carat. The fact that 22 carat is only 91.6 rather than 99.999 or 99.5, and pointing out that this is what is different about me. He's kind of going counter to what is the industry norm, and that will immediately stand out because that gives value to the customer. And that space is open in most places in India for the moment. So there are many other people who could probably take that. So you've shared this idea now publicly, so you might find other people kind of taking that. Coming to Shivram's point, I think it was the thing that he talked about omni-channels, different channels of taking the gold to the consumer, and how that is not being leveraged enough. And what to do in going across channels with maybe a single rate in gold. So in fact, today we have with us the MD and CEO of International Bullion Exchange at IFSC, and one of the goals of an IIBX and the domestic spot exchange which is coming up is to try and make sure that we have one price for a gold across locations, across different kinds of uses and so on. So hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. I understand from Mr. Ashok Gautam that IBX will start its trial runs quite soon in the next few days, hopefully. Some questions for the panelists, and then we'll open it up to the audience. So if I go to Gaurav and ask him, right, one of the things that you said, Gaurav, was that I have created a brand built around the fact that I understood, or your understanding was that you were not in the jewelry business, you were in banking, insurance and fashion, right? What led to that epiphany? Was it this interaction with the gentleman at Harvard that you had, that thought process, and how were you able to carry that thought into your business? Because in my 6, 7, 8 years, and I have been in the business a lot less than many people in this room, or associated with this industry a lot less. How did you carry this idea into your company and convince people? Because this is not how most people in the jewelry industry think. They think that they are selling gold jewelry. By the way, it's a wonderful way to build a brand. So let me start off with some quick thoughts from you, Gaurav.
So it's about creating a jewelry business model also, and that starts with financing in this business. How do you get your money in the business? How the equity is there? What kind of debt structure you have? What is the positioning of hedging of gold we are going to do? Somewhere or the other, somebody is hedging. Why this industry is unable to change is because we are business entrepreneurs of riches, if I would put it. Because of lot of gold owned by the jewelry companies themselves. So they just say, hedging kyun kare? Why do I need to price things accurately? Why should I go through a product called GML? But my question was, why not? If you can have a predictable balance sheet, if you can have a predictable GP in your business, that is what is any business management, finance side, if you do a course, they would say you should be able to predict your balance sheet for this fiscal, and based on that target you take decisions today. So we went to Nova Scotia at that time. There was a bank, and we said ki we would like to hedge 100%, and so they said aisa to koi hota nahi hai, and my banker said, well, there's no company like this. I referred that Tanishq is doing this because they have to report every quarter to stock exchange, and they were run by thorough professionals in the industry, and they said, well, we can't take a price risk. We don't know if gold is going to go where, or up or down, and we don't want to take our price calls on gold. And if you see, does a jeweler have the strength of treasury business? 3 of them are sitting over here. Can you ask Ashish to predict a price of 2023 gold? And does he has any knowledge? Does he have any manpower in his business who can predict a 2023 gold price? And effectively, this 5 lakh jeweler industry is into gold business, invested. Okay. And the only profit they make, usually in some years, is treasury profit. Remove the treasury profit and see what is the profit of any jewelry company, listed or unlisted.
Going to the issue of GMS, Ashish, you mentioned that one needs to look at the GML also more closely and to integrate that with the GMS. How would one do that? Because if I put it together with the idea that, people don't want to give their gold for melting and so on and so forth. Jewelers have a particular business model, as Gaurav was mentioning. How does one link these two together?
See, in the modified GMS, jewelers have already been involved. Sachin bhai, they have been authorized to as collection centers for GMS gold. So the rich data that each retailer has, he knows exactly which part of his consumer is investing consumer. So he can directly communicate to them and get them attracted to these. And whatever gold, if it becomes successful, whatever gold the jeweler accumulates will be in turn deposited with the bankers at a the jeweler earns some transaction fee. The banker gets the gold. He uses that gold to lend to GML takers. The banker earns something. The GML guy, instead of importing, he gets it at a reasonable rate from his own bankers. where he has CC facilities. So he also gets the thing. So the whole cycle gets completed. And जो आत्मनिर्भर है ना, वो actually आत्मनिर्भर यहाँ पे हो जाएगा.
Very interesting. Last question, which is addressed to both Sachin and Shivram before we hand it over to the audience. Sachin's experience is very, very different. You kind of highlighted the fact that you used hospitality as a key attracting this thing, right? Why do you think it worked in your case? Because people come to buy jewelry, they don't come to buy, they may get influenced by the hospitality, but they are coming to buy jewelry. And on a related note for Shivram, the question has to do with the fact that you raised a very interesting point about different brands being there from related parties, right? How would you resolve that if you were one of those parties and you wanted to grow big? How would you resolve that? So let's go with Sachin first and then Shivram.
Yeah, of course, hospitality is very important part. Of course, merchandising comes first and the designs are there, everything is there. So, but all these things are the things, that anyone can offer. So, when it comes to pricing, and I'm sure that Anand Jewels, and their price is the lowest and their making charges are lowest. I feel so. I mean, I've talked to so many guys.
That is what brand perception works.
Yeah, so I'll talk to in detail about this. How do you do this? So I can't, give the best price, of course, in my city, and I can't offer best of the designs or everything that my competitor has to offer. So there was one thing that not everyone could, do, and that was hospitality, because in all other businesses, all my competitors, they were themselves involved. I just noticed it. I mean, they are so much into the transactions and sales that they forgot that part. And who was taking care of that part? Their employees, of course. And now I am the peon at my store, so I do all these things. So I keep my connection with my customers, I keep talking to them, I make them feel good about it. So that's how this hospitality. So of course, training of my staff is there. Of course, that is also part of hospitality. When they are told to talk about several other things other than jewelry also, like what the kid is doing, we have a kids corner in a store, taking care of everything else. So I think that's part of customer experience. Once the customer enters, he experiences so many different things कि वो भूल जाता है कि डिज़ाइन याद नहीं रहता है उसको. हाँ, डिज़ाइन अच्छा है, बट उसके पास क्या मिलेगा, उसके पास क्या मिलेगा, वो भूल जाता है. वो I mean, he's so much into that environment.
The totality of the experience, which allows him to maybe not question you too much on the.
Yes, even sometimes I get impressed by my own service. मैं कहता हूँ यार तुम इतना करते हो, कमाल है.
Shivram.
I'll take the other one on,
Different brands in the same city.
So I think, I would say a hybrid branding, right? People have used, I'm just using the name, whatever, XYZ by Shivram. The XYZ is established in the town, right? But the sub-branding, I don't know, whatever, there's opposite of sub-branding, right? So something like that. There is a tagline which is attached to one individual, right? And again, I go back to what all of us keep saying, this service, hospitality, and I have a formula which is called as better services is equal to higher sales. And SCRVICS, I have a step-by-step action point, right? Because ultimately all of us buy from the more or less the similar kind of manufacturing techniques. Manufacturers may be different, but the techniques are the same. And for too long, and this is where I want to bat on behalf of customers, right? I think for too long the customers have not had a good deal. Whatever we say, at the end of the day, if you go back and look at, right, they haven't had a good deal. So any retailer or any seller who offers 2 steps better, and I just take one more minute about this joke which I keep telling about 2 people in a forest. And suddenly they find a tiger coming in and both of them start running. So one guy says, why are you running? The tiger is going to eat us. He says, no, I'm not running away from the tiger. I'm running away from you. Because I just need to be 2 steps ahead of you so that the tiger is going to eat you. right? So I'm not really expecting super experience. If I can be better off than my neighboring competition, and I think I'm home. Right?
Very interesting.
Right. So that's really what it is.
So thank you very much, gentlemen. Open to the group for questions. Please go ahead, sir. सर कैन यू टेक अ माइक प्लीज, थोड़ी आवाज आपकी ठीक से नहीं आ रही. वो तो सुन रहा हूँ साहब, लेकिन साफ सुनाई भी पड़ना चाहिए. आवाज तो आ रही है, लेकिन उसका मतलब क्या, आप वो भी पूरा समझना चाहिए.
नमस्ते, नमस्कार, नमस्कार. My name is Dr. Chandrakant Sambhaji Pandav. If you go to Google and type Iodine Man of India, that's me. Last year I got Padma Shri in 2021 from the Rashtrapati Bhavan, from the President of India. I'm placing my viewpoint as a customer. The only gold I have in my house is the gold medals I got since class 11. But I also have some gold. If I keep the gold at home, it is dead investment. So the whole story is about changing of behavior. You have to change the behavior of customers. And for that you have to have social sciences. You have to study of anthropology, psychology, sociology, economics and political science. Then only I am able to change my behavior. If I deposit the gold at your place, what benefit is going to bring it to me? There are three kinds of people in this world: those who are wise, those who are otherwise, and those who are supervise. So my question to you, sir, is how can you convince me to deposit whatever little gold I have at wherever you want me to deposit? That's my question. My second question is, how many of you have seen McKenna's Gold film, McKenna's Gold? It was a film in 1969, starring Gregory Peck. So you must also show McKenna's Gold film as well to the audience to make it more lively. Thank you very much.
So Chandrakant ji, on the first one, when we get to the answer, and we have been trying for the last several years, that is acceptable to the different stakeholders, then we'll definitely come to you. But definitely take on board your point that it's about behavior change, not just of the customer. It's also about behavior change of the jewelers. It's also about behavior change of the bankers. It's also about behavior change of the refiners, because each stakeholder in the system needs to be aligned and have an incentive to participate in the gold monetization scheme for it to work at any scale. And yes, indeed, I think as all these speakers who have alluded to it have pointed out, it makes sense to recycle some of that gold to become Atmanirbhar. As we talked about, we'll import less gold if some of this gold comes back into circulation. Even today, despite the fact that things have changed over the last 10 years, it's still the third largest contributor to our current account deficit, right? So we do need to move in that direction, but that's part of the reason why we are having this conversation. On McKenna's Gold, definitely point taken. I'm not sure whether we'll be able to arrange it during this conference, but maybe we'll figure out a way to share it with the people who are here. It is a good movie, by the way.
If you bring the mic, I can show you this.
And I can see Mr.
I can
Gautam
show you
also.
the trailer.
Yeah. Other questions?
Can I show you the trailer of McKenna's Gold?
Thank you, sir. In the break, we have another question coming.
Sir, it is said that there are about 3 lakh jewelers in the country, out of which there are about 100 or 120 odd corporates who are into the jewelry business, and out of which probably 20 or 30 have been able to build the brand. My question is relating to brand. Why in our industry, why in jewelry industry, nobody has ever thought of becoming an aggregator, and so that a brand can be built up for a small jewelers?
That's a good question. Let me ask people on the dais over here, because they represent not very micro jewelers, but they are not really large jewelers as well.
I feel transparency amongst the stakeholder is a challenge. So if I am in Madhya Pradesh with 2 stores and performing really well, everybody in that region wants to come and say, ki, can we have a tie-up? In fact, a non-jeweler also comes from a district and says, ki, can I open Anand Jewels in my property and I'm rich enough to invest more. The challenge is, as a brand, I don't want to get my transparency or commitment to the customer diluted. Once that comes into play, which now is a situation with HUID into the system, it's a possibility. What you are telling is a possibility. It's about somebody didn't move the game. Now, with transparency completely from top to bottom, manufacturing to the end consumer, this is a possibility. Definitely we would work and we would ask consultants like Chevron to give us more solutions.
I think things are moving, right? Because what I would say is, normally when you look at a corporate, right, many of them are own stores, company owned, company operated, COCO, right? But there are a number of individual retailers or families which are now moving into franchisee business. It may not yet be aggregator in the true Amazon type of a model you may have, but I think that lots of people are opening up small franchisee stores, and that is a very scalable model, right? And there are a couple of examples that I can give you, right? I think that's the first step towards true aggregation is what you call. But I perfectly agree with you, and the kind of sheer size of investment that we are making, right? Like you said, 3 lakh jewelers. I'm saying that 1/3 of the inventory is dead and every day locked up in lockers. And we are all these things about, Atmanirbhar and things like that. 1 lakh crore every night.
But sir, where is the investment in becoming aggregator? One needs to.
Yeah, regarding that aggregator thing.
Let me just to respond to. There is no investment. If somebody tried to become aggregator, he just have to become an aggregator like Oyo, Ola, Uber. He doesn't need to invest.
No, absolutely not. I think you need to take on board Gaurav's point. It's about trust. It's about the brand. Why will Gaurav not take on board many of these guys who are coming to him? Because his brand is dependent. The power of his brand, the trust of his brand is dependent on his internal processes and commitment of his people and his internal processes that he is then using to create a certain product and service for his customer. Will those other people who are coming have the same level of transparency, commitment to those processes that will create a similar quality? So in fact, going back to the point about franchisee model, right? It will only work if you have very robust processes. If you look at Tanishq, of all the stores that they have, guess how many are COCO, company owned and company operated?
30, 40 out of 300.
Yes. So you are building a large franchisee model, but it is built on very strong internal processes where there is monitoring, very careful monitoring of what is happening in the franchisees. Only that way do I as an individual trust. I don't even know the difference between a company owned or a franchised Tanishq store. But if Gaurav were to take on board a franchise store, he may not have the wherewithal today to be able to monitor as closely, to be able to be sure that the brand is represented in the way that he wants in those other stores. And that's the reason why aggregation is so difficult. Again, to pick up on the point, going forward, it may become a little more easier if you have HUID, if you have technologies like blockchain, where you enable people, only those people to be present who satisfy a certain criteria. So then that takes the element of trust a little bit out of the system.
Yeah, velvetcase.com is one such aggregator that is there for the last 4-6 years, I guess. And eJewelry is again, they are trying hard. And I mean, couple of years back, eBay also, had some seminars in this. Right?
It boils down to trust, essentially.
I had a question. From the discussion here, one thing that stands out, is there an inherent contradiction when it comes to gold jewelry, positioning it as an investment and then also saying that this is fashion? Because when you talk about investment, you cannot really attract that kind of, making charges and all of that, because typically a consumer would not want to pay such a high markup. If I'm investing in equities, I won't be paying 10-12% extra over what the cost is. So then is there a very fine line that you have to tread, because only few people are able to do it? I mean, we as Metals Focus, we travel across India, and there are very select few of people who are able to do that. And a large number of jewelers are not able to do that. So while you sell it as an investment, then you cannot charge, sell it as an MRP based product, because then you say this is an investment. So, and the other point is, as was in your presentation, Professor, that, the maximum buying happens in the 2 to 5 lakh or 2 to 10 lakh group, which is again a very price sensitive group. So, when you are catering to a price sensitive group, then how do you, manage all of this when you want to increase your making charges as well, sell it as a commodity as well, so there are a lot of contradictions here. So how do you,
So running a business, just like being a politician, is the art of managing these contradictions, right?
Gold, sorry, can I?
Yeah, please.
Gold is a very complex subject, complex product. It is investment, it is saving, it is fashion, it is insurance, all bundled together. It's the only investment which you can flaunt. That's the thing I said. But important point is that we have to understand why it has survived for 5,000 years. There has been no other product which has survived for 5,000 years, and it has survived because the understanding the importance, our cultural heads at each times have involved gold in the culture and the rituals. Because every time you have something good, you collect some gold. And there is a wedding, you collect some gold. When there is Guru Pushamrut, you collect some gold. Because that slowly builds your chest and war chest, and it gives you insurance in terms of problems. So this savings and investment culture was built around our festivals, because people then did not have that kind of education to understand. So the cultural or our festivals were made in such a way that people invested in gold on those particular days. But because people were uneducated and they had to use finally the person who's going to wear is a lady, that's where the fashion comes in. So we have to keep balancing both. You can't just go one way, like I said, only on MRP, or you cannot just go to brass tacks and give the breakups. It has to be a balance of both. And even Rolex is an investment, but it's talking about its intrinsic values and how many hours it takes, how many days it takes to make a Rolex. So it has to be a balance, you are correct, but each jeweler has to walk that tightrope every day.
Yes, Chirag bhai. Yeah, let's make it the last question. I think we are standing
I had
between
one
people
question for
people and lunch.
I had one question for Ashish bhai and one for Shimran sir. Ashish bhai, you mentioned about jewelry and gold and festivals, and I think given the fact that demographics is changing, given the fact that mindset is changing, do we need to now position gold away from these festivals? Because today what is happening is that you don't have aside from festivals, you don't have many occasion days to buy gold. Unlike some of the Southeast Asian countries where there are various days to buy gold, gold buying in India is very much limited to festivals. And does the association need to do probably work on that? And to Shivram sir, you mentioned that 30% of stock is dead, and that's our number as well. But given in a country like India where financing is so difficult, and we had this very detailed panel discussion at GGS as well, how is it that the jewelers are able to fund so much of inventory, given the fact that if 30% of inventory is dead, and financing is so difficult to get, how are the jewelers actually able to fund these?
Sure.
You take your question first. See, what you said is right. We have had discussions on this before also. But if you look at 10-12 years back, Akshay Tritiya was not a national phenomenon. World Gold Council had slowly started doing it in South, and it has become a national phenomenon. So we as an industry or as a council, we have to find more days where you celebrate with gold. And the success of those celebratory days will make sure that the industry succeeds. So I agree with you on that.
Actually, it's a very complex answer, but I think part of the answer came from him when he said, if you really do a P&L, right, where is the money really coming from? Point number one. Number two, I think it's an accumulation of inventory over a period of years. But from my point of view, I say there is no boss for the owner. Bluntly, if I were to put, right, a traditional jeweler doesn't need to answer to anybody, right? So anything goes. But if you really look at it from an ROI perspective, right, and then you start asking these questions, right, then all these are, things, why you're sitting on this kind of inefficient stocks comes up.
But how is one able to sustain for so many years? That's the biggest point. There is 30% inventory is dead, and over the years that is being accumulating. How are you able to sustain?
Yeah, please.
In terms of any jewelry company you go, or if you find 10 top jewelers of Delhi, they would have two big things. One, a big money which has been accumulated over 50 years, real estate, everything. So banks are just behind us. Le lo aap gold jitna chahiye. They need collateral, they need good balance sheet, everything is there. So why won't we get money? Even with a slow moving inventory. That is what your question was.
Bank credit to jewelry industry is just 2.7%, 75,000 crore for the entire gems and jewelry industry. I sir, very humbly disagree over here that banks are after jewelry to take one. There are many bankers sitting back. They would actually, I don't think banks are after jewelry.
We'll do a post-lunch discussion on that.
No, jewelers, I must take this that yes, banks are running after jewelers. I mean, almost every day. Yeah,
Good
jewelers. Yes,
not
if
every
you
day.
are organized enough, banks are after you. And thanks to Mr. Sandeep Kulhal ji, long back in 2013, he told me so. बोला सर पैसा तो नहीं है, कैसे बढ़ाएं, कैसे कंपटीशन से लड़ें. ही सेड कि जस्ट दुकान पर कौन है, मैं बोला मेरा भाई. बोला कॉल हिम और उसको बोलो आज से हर बिल कटेगा और फिर देखना बैंक पीछे घूमेगा. और द सेम थिंग हैपेंड.
That's the correct answer.
So thank you all very much.
We
We'll
are
see you
not
after
considering
lunch.
the price escalation and the benefit that accrues.
So you will have to, sir, you have to present the mementos to the panelists.